Am I the asshole for refusing to eliminate princess stuff from my daughter's life? I'll probably get judged for all this, but I'm pregnant with a guy I'm not dating. He's nice and wants to be there for the kid, so we are on friendly terms. So far, we've had no issues until I met his parents. I met them on Saturday. Everything was going great until baby shower talk came up. I was talking about the theme and his mom said, "Son, did you tell her about the princess thing?" He didn't. Apparently his brother has a daughter from another relationship named Princess that he's not allowed to see. It's a sore subject for him and he lives with the grandparents, so he's around often. They have requested that we don't do any themed events, buy any clothes, decorations, etc. with the word princess on them. It's just too hard for the brother. I may be the asshole here because I don't even have strong urges towards princess stuff. Much prefer soup-colored baby rompers. That said, I'm incredibly annoyed at this request and told them absolutely not. If I see something cute that says princess or my kid wants princess stuff, I will buy it. This upset his parents and started saying, "Really? You'd rather cause someone pain than put down a damn princess shirt?" I'm not trying to cause pain, but expecting me to restrict princess from all things sounds completely unreasonable to me. I'm not particularly girly, but even I went through a princess phase and I'll love the children's books, Fancy Nancy, so I'm sure I'm bound to stumble on some princess stuff. Edit because a lot of people asked. This is why the brother can't see the kid. He gave up his rights so the kid's step-dad could adopt her and he'd be relieved of child support payments. They promised he'd still get to see the kid. After all was said and done, they stopped letting him see her. My baby's dad believes he could see her if his brother put in effort, but he doesn't and just sulks about it instead. I think there's a middle ground here. Tell them you won't go out of your way to do princess-themed things around their family, but you're not going to ban all female Disney characters and sparkles from your home forever either. And if your baby girl's uncle is not allowed to see his own daughter, I wouldn't allow your daughter around him unless you're there. Edit. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Nobody should name their child princess. It's not as bad as Joy or Amazing, but it's worse than giving them the same name as a location. Not the asshole. Do they expect you to do this for the entirety of your child's life? If your daughter wants something princess-themed, they expect you to just not let her have it because it may hurt someone else's feelings? That's a ridiculous request. Not the asshole. This is the brother's problem. He needs therapy to get over his loss. Also, why is he not allowed to see his daughter at all? It's extremely rare for a parent to be denied any sort of visitation. Even physically abusive parents can manage to get supervised visitation. Is the brother even safe to have around your own child? Not the asshole. That's a completely unreasonable request. It would make more sense to ask that the kid not wear a short that says princess in front of him, but even that is a stretch because kids should have some autonomy, and if they really want to, they should be allowed. Not the asshole. Look, I would be clear that you'll try to avoid the princess stuff around him while your daughter is still too little to have her own preferences, but that phase doesn't last long and she's a little girl. The world will throw princesses at her. If she wants a Disney princess party for her second birthday, it's going to happen. If she demands to wear a princess t-shirt, it's going to happen. I get it, I lost a child. My coworker even, unknowingly, named their son the same name. When they announced the name, I told them it was nice and then promptly excused myself to the single-stall bathroom for a good cry. The brother has to deal with the fact that princesses exist, and it's likely his niece will at some point be interested in them. Not the asshole that man isn't even truly that child's father. He wanted the gratification of seeing her every once in a while without having to do any of the actual parenting and providing support. I think it's ridiculous for them to demand that you take away what could be very positive role models for your child. Totally unreasonable. Not the asshole. You just meet them and they're already telling you what you can and can't do. Nothing doing. It's good to set boundaries from the beginning. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter that she doesn't have to forgive my wife? My 35F daughter Amelia, F12, has ulcerative colitis and her body has a talent for building antibodies against medicines. She's had UC for 2 years now and hasn't been able to stay on a medicine for longer than 6 months. She built antibodies against the medicine she was on and is in a bad flare, so we've been in the hospital since Monday. Wednesday, my wife Jessica, 36F, and I were both at the hospital and only left for food, clothes, and never left her alone at the hospital. Being at the hospital alone terrifies her. Then on Thursday Jessica didn't come after work because she was tired. We got into an argument about it, but she swore she'd be here yesterday. Amelia was scheduled to get an ing tube and PICC line yesterday and was scared and asked for both of us to be there. When she was FaceTiming Jessica, she promised Amelia that she'd be here in time. Then yesterday when it was time to get the PICC line, Jessica still wasn't at the hospital. I checked Life 360 and saw that she was still at home. Amelia cried the entire time because her mom wasn't there. Then a few hours later, it was time for the ing tube. Jessica was still at home. Amelia sobbed and begged us to wait because she wanted her mom. She cried and fought so much that they had to wait until this morning to do it. Called Jessica last night after Amelia was in bed, argued again, and I told her to be here this morning. This morning, they sedated Amelia and started to get everything ready for the ing tube and Jessica was still at home. They ended up having to restrain Amelia because she was fighting so much. Jessica finally showed up 4 hours after the ing tube when Amelia was asleep. When Amelia woke up and saw Jessica there, she immediately told her to get out. Jessica left and came back a few hours later with bags of gifts for Amelia. She was again told to leave. Jessica asked if there was anything she could do to make her feel better and Amelia said she'd feel better if she left her alone. I talked to Amelia and told her that it's understandable that she's mad at Jessica and that she doesn't have to forgive her right away. She needs time to work through her feelings and that's completely fine. Jessica texted her and asked what she could do to get her to forgive her and Amelia texted her back and said, "Mommy said I don't have to forgive you." Now Jessica is mad that I'm not trying to convince Amelia to forgive her. Not the asshole, you did a great job not invalidating your daughter's feelings. What's up with your wife though? Sue, not the asshole. It is a good lesson to teach her young daughter that you don't have to forgive somebody just because they're family. Also good for you for staying with your daughter. Edit. Thanks for the award, it's my first one. Info. What was Jessica doing at home? Why did she say she would be there but not show up until it was over? Not the asshole. I suspect your wife wasn't tired so much as she was freaked, squicked out by the specific procedures and actively trying to avoid them. But, here's the thing. She's a parent, she doesn't get to do that. She has a duty to put aside her own issues and be there for her daughter. She failed to do that because she put her own needs above her daughter's. Not the asshole. Imagine how scared and hurt she was to find out her mother blew her off multiple times for something so big. Not the asshole. Your daughter is entitled to be hurt and by validating her feelings you are doing her a solid. She is a child who needs, her parents at a distressing time. As a mother myself, I can't fathom what could be more important than being there for my child when they desperately need me. It boggles the mind that your wife stayed away even when the hospital had to sedate your daughter FFS. No assholes here. Jessica's reasons for bailing don't make sense. It's too easy to call her a horrible parent here. She let her daughter down, but to me it looks like she caved under the constant pressure of having a chronically sick child. She needs psychological support. Appa's incredibly strong for pulling all this like a champ, but not everybody is that strong. I can't imagine what it does to someone to see their child suffer. Plus, as another comment perfectly did, outside pressure doesn't stop because your child is sick. The world goes on and demands just as much from you. I would be careful to condemn Jessica for this or conclude that she's just a terrible parent. I would see it as a sign that Jessica needs help as well. Not the asshole, your wife is an adult. When you bail on people, they don't like you anymore. Bailing on a sick kid though? Are you sure this is the person you want to co-raise your kid with? That's straight up despicable. Update. Am I the asshole for demanding my mother leave my room after she tried to collect my plate mid-class? Last month I came to the subreddit asking, am I the asshole for getting frustrated at my mother for coming into my room to collect a plate while I was in a lecture? Closing square bracket opening parenthesis. It was one of several incidents I'd had with Mum, which continued to increase in both frequency and severity. Finally, I was house sitting alone when I completely broke down. I wasn't comfortable at all. The bed I was trying to sleep on would be put to better use as a table. I couldn't determine why, but while on the phone with a friend I came to the realization that I hadn't been comfortable for a long time. Either because Mum was constantly barging into my room, or because of the loud birds she insists upon owning, or any other number of reasons. After 3 hours spent crying into my pillow, sounds pathetic looking back on it now, I scrolled through Facebook, and got angry over a photo she'd posted, weeks ago, of me trying to stop a bird from landing on my head. So I retaliated, taking a screenshot of the post and writing an essay about her harmful behavior. My dad contacted me first with a long message. Then he called me, where we had a long discussion about me taking what she says or does far too seriously. When I snapped at him and informed him that fine, I'll stop being a bother, he insisted upon calming me down. Finally, he hung up. And then called me back, telling me I should see my GP. Given my family's history of anxiety and depression, as well as a myriad of other mental health crises, it was a fair call. The next day, my doctor took me through the mental health quizzes. She told me I looked fragile, and believes the build-up of the pandemic, other family-related dramas, work, and my university course have finally come to a head. Long story short, I'm now on antidepressants and haven't had a conflict with my mother since. I feel fundamentally quieter, like there's not so much going on in my head, if that makes sense. It's a weird sensation to describe. Dad believes I've had a complete personality transplant, but I don't think I've changed at all. I actually have the ability to get out of bed now, though, which is a nice improvement. The asshole was me. It was totally me, unable to perceive small matters just as they are, small. Who'da thunk? Of course, we'll still have the occasional squabble, but nothing blown as out of proportion as the last month of what I'd once considered utter catastrophes. Edit. I'd like to reiterate the following. My "Am I the asshole" was a legitimate error on both mine and my mother's parts. I installed a lock on my door, and I'm working on moving out. However, I'm not being abused or manipulated into being docile about abuse. Docile is an interesting word being thrown around, and it's cute. Some people think I'm drooling into the carpet while scrolling Reddit. I'm not. But my Maremma is, if that's of any consolation. She drools while she sleeps. Big internet hug. I don't think you're the asshole. I'm glad you're feeling better. I still don't think you were an asshole. Isn't it amazing when your body just unclenches and the clouds clear in your brain? It's not a personality transplant. Your personality just finally has a chance to come out again. Heart. Glad to see you feeling better. Glad you feel better. Speaking as someone on antidepressants, I do not think your improved mood means you were the asshole. In fact, I don't think you were the asshole at all. Treating your depression will make it easier to tolerate the bullshit going on around you. Don't mistake that for the bullshit stopping. Your feelings about not having any peace were and are completely valid. So is having depression. Both can be real. Turns out depression was the asshole. And sometimes people just aren't good at avoiding things that make depression worse or doing things to improve it. I mean both you and your mum here. My mum was absolutely convinced that the cure to all my ills was to get up early and go for a nice walk, then keep busy doing housework and not talk about anything upsetting or emotionally heavy. Nope, turned out that works for her maybe, but for me, therapy, medication and setting my own limits on what ICA achieve was the answer. Well done for owning your mental health issues and for taking on help and support. Clearly this has been of great value to you. Grin. Good luck. Nope, you weren't the asshole. Depression comes in a very insidious way. And the more it goes, the more you feel like ass. For not being able to do the easiest stuff, and sometimes it takes a third person to see what's going on. Am I the asshole? No kids on vacation? Update. Thank you for the overwhelming response. I don't use Reddit, but my husband, this is his account, urged me to post because I felt a lot of guilt and I am feeling much better. In fact, I feel quite angry over how I've been taken advantage of. I wanted to answer some of the questions that were asked. Yes, I can definitely see now how she is taking advantage of me. There have been other instances as well. Last week I was supposed to watch the baby, but I had an emergency with my oldest child and had to take a last-minute flight out to Fort Lauderdale. I called her and told her she needed to find another sitter for the next day because I had to be at the airport at 1 p.m., which is an hour away. She said, "Well, can Mark, my husband, or your dad watch him?" I felt bad for leaving her high and dry, but this was a legitimate emergency, so I went and got the baby and took him to my dad. My dad does love the baby and only agreed because it was only a couple of hours and 3 of my children were there to help. She called me while I was boarding to tell me she was going to be late getting him from my dad because she was going to buy a swimming pool. A few weeks ago my husband and I planned an at-home date night after our kids went to bed. We were going to paint canvases to hang in our home. I told her all about it. An hour before our date night was to start, she called and asked if I could keep the baby for just 2 hours while they had a softball game. I reluctantly agreed. We still had a date night, but I had a baby in my lap the entire time, whom I also helped paint a Mother's Day picture for my friend. What was supposed to be 2 hours turned into about 5, and I had him until midnight. Also, she sometimes pays me for babysitting. However, I'll keep him from 7:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. or later and she will pay me $20. But every day I have him I take him out for breakfast and I also buy him clothes and toys. Plus I drive 20 miles to pick him up and drop him off, so everything she pays me goes into my gas tank and back to the baby, so I make nothing. Also she still owes me money and keeps saying she's going to pay me but has not. I'm not going to call her. I made sure my dad was able to keep my children before I even booked plane tickets. My husband and I are excited for our vacation and her lack of planning is not our problem. Thanks again guys. Am I the asshole for not wanting my friend bringing her children on our vacation? Backstory. My husband, using his account, and I were married 13 years in March. We have 4 children ages 8–15 and we have never been on a vacation without them. We live on the East Coast and planned a vacation to LA and we leave on Friday. Right after booking our trip my friend and her boyfriend asked to come and we agreed on a couple's vacation. They have 5 children. Today my friend called because she had not set up a reliable sitter for her children and wanted to know if my 66-year-old father could keep her 1-year-old along with my children. My dad said he couldn't, so my friend decided that she was bringing her 1-year-old and her 15-year-old on our adults-only vacation. I let her know that she paid for her tickets and could bring them if she wanted, but that if she did we would be vacationing separately as I was not bringing my own children, so we could have a few days of adult time. Now she isn't speaking to me. Am I the asshole? I should also add that I already keep her baby several days a week and half of those days she calls me when she is out of school to ask me to keep him longer so she can shop or get her nails done, and I know she would expect my husband and I to help take care of the baby in LA. Not the asshole. She's trying to fundamentally change your vacation. That's so uncool. Your friend invited herself to join you on your first child-free trip and then announced that she was bringing her children. She is actually mad at you? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. It was pretty rude to invite themselves along on your vacation in the first place, then to invite their kids along. Hard. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She changed the rules and I think that adults only was of the essence in this case. Not the asshole. It's her fault for not booking a sitter prior to the vacation knowing it's adults only and expecting your father to take care of her kids as well. Why couldn't she have asked her parents or in-laws to take care of her kids for the duration of the vacation? She sounds entitled and should be taking responsibility for her own children. Not the asshole. Don't budge on this one. Have a great child-free vacation. They shouldn't have agreed to come on an adults-only vacation if they didn't have childcare already set up. Not the asshole. And #X200B. Now she isn't speaking to me. I should also add that I already keep her baby several days a week, and #X200B. The perfect time to stop being her doormat? Not the asshole. She changed the rules and you can too. Also info. Where are the other 3 children going to be? I could maybe fathom why the baby makes sense to her, free on a plane, so it's barely an expense to what they already paid. But why the does he 15-year-old suddenly get to go too?